What's up, everybody? Welcome to the State of Wild episode 84, a regular YouTube video web series podcast thingy. My name is Meowth, and as usual, I'm joined by my two good friends and award-winning co-hosts, Roffle and Corbett. How are you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. It's been a bit of a slow week in the Hearthstone world. Kind of like last week. We're, expecting some sort of announcement any minute now, but all the more time for me to jam a lot of Elden Ring. So that's what I've been doing with my week when I haven't been streaming.
Raffle, I feel like we did the same thing last week, and I feel like it's going to be the same thing next week as well. Just more and more Elden Ring.
I mean, yeah. Announcement or no, there's going to be more Elden Ring.
But yeah, I'm doing all right. Big night out in the town celebrating, the award show that Born to be Wild, our friends over there, hosted. There's the People's Choice Awards, a whole thing put together by Wild community member Blue Train, and it was a very fun show. It was great. It was a nice celebration of a whole bunch of people in the Wild community. It was very wholesome, and just overall, just a good fun, great thing to have for the community overall.
Yeah, the people chose, and you are the best community member. I think we all knew it, but it's like it's important that gets locked in and cemented. So congratulations to you on that.
Oh, thank you. I think there may have been some severe vote splitting going on and all that, but you know what? I'll take it. All those bribes paid off.
All right. So this week we've got a pretty unique episode for you guys. Not something we normally do, because like these guys have mentioned, we're in a little bit of a lull. We're waiting for the new announcement of the new Hearthstone year. Historically, like the past 4 years or 5 years, it's already been announced by now. And so we're a little bit later. Still feeling the effects of everything getting pushed back from Mercenaries, maybe. Maybe just a little bit of skeptical. Just come on, give us the new stuff. It's about time. Especially like this is the time of year that we're really excited because we not only get a brand new expansion, we get all those reverts. So we're really, really just waiting for some news. So in the meantime, while we wait, we're going to be doing a mailback episode where we're just answering a bunch of the questions from you guys in the community that you guys submitted via Twitter and YouTube last week. So excited to dive into all of those related to Hearthstone and some personal content creation things as well. But before we get into all of that, gotta take care of our housekeeping stuff. So if you guys enjoy the content, whether you guys are watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anything like that, if you guys enjoy the show, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Small thing, but it does support us a ton.
You can also support the podcast by becoming a patron over at patreon.com/stateofwild and pick up some sweet perks.
And of course, you can always come join the State of Wild Discord server to come interact with everybody in the community and talk all things Wild Hearthstone.
All right, so let's hop into it. This is, I think, going to be a pretty casual episode. We're just going to be hanging out. And so we have the questions kind of split into two, Hearthstone related and kind of not Hearthstone related. So let's start off with some of the Hearthstone stuff. So the first question comes from Zombies Go Nom Nom. If we had the power to make one change in Hearthstone, solely focused around or for the WoW format, what would it be and why? For example, more nerfs and bans, wild opens, some sort of in-between format, etc. So kind of just open the floor up for whoever wants to answer first.
Yeah, delete the Juggernaut. That would be the one like card specific change that I would make. More seriously though, I think just something in order to incentivize players to move over to Wild, at least for a little bit of time, try it out, see if they like it. In the past, that was wide opens. I think once a year is not nearly enough. But I would also maybe, even if it's not necessarily a competitive integration like a tournament like the Wild Open was, even just like Wild specific events, just give players a reason to, again, try out the format and see if they like it. So I think that for the most part, throughout my time playing Wild, which has been several years now, like it's always seemed like the biggest hurdle is getting players to try it. And so I think anything that can do that would be a great way to would be a great boon to the format.
Yeah, I mean the answer is wild open. Like for me, that is the first thing, and ultimately it is just the same thing you said, right? Like give players incentive to try the format. That's ultimately what it boils down to. Give us something. So like the dream scenario, like if I could have it, maybe you know, one tourney an expansion, like first expansion tourney, second expansion tourney, and then you do like the world champ at the third one. Something like that. You know, like break it up into two parts in the final for the third expansion. That would be like the dream case scenario. But other than that, you know, like I do think it's honestly hard to say more than that because, you know, like what else can we really be wanting here? Card specific changes, you can kind of like go through those every expansion, every time those kind of change, but they actually have been pretty active in sort of addressing that, or at least relatively active. You know, very recently they did touch stuff. So that stuff doesn't bother me as much, but giving some sort of bone to the community would be great.
Yeah, I think when we had No Hands, like America's GM on the show, he said the exact same thing, right? Like, give us like a baby wild open every expansion. It doesn't have to be an insanely large prize pool. If you just take $5,000 per region every expansion and just host a tournament, it's not that big of a financial burden and would incentivize people to play the format, right? Which I think would be awesome.
To be fair, though, I mean, there are a lot more costs involved in running a tournament than just the prize pool. It's not just here's $5,000, play the Hearthstone. Like production costs need to be considered as well.
Well,
that's not something that they're necessarily.
I'm even at the point of like maybe we don't even need to broadcast the majority of the tournament, right? Like you broadcast like the top 8, the top 16, and so it's like a 1-day broadcast, and then like I know that there's more back end. Like from running tournaments myself, I know that there's a lot more back end to that. But if you look at how much they're pumping into these other formats, right? We're asking for like 1% of that budget to come to Wild every expansion, and I don't know if that's asking too much.
Clearly they've done the math and it is. So
it is. Yeah.
Right, like the difference is that the other formats make more money. So they're gonna keep pushing the ones that make more money. I think that they're leaving potentially money on the table by not advertising the Wild format because they could sell Wild bundles. And you know, we had this conversation with No Hands, but I mean, I don't have the data on the previous Wild opens and whether or not that moved the needle in any direction. I like the fact that they stopped doing them suggests that maybe it didn't. But they also didn't have Wild specific bundles at the time. So like who knows what could have could have been if they had that at the time. But like first of all, I would push back on not only wanting a portion of it broadcast, because like I think the point is to broadcast it as much as possible, make it as big of an event as possible. And then again, it's still very costly to like actually run a tournament in the way that like the Hearthstone esports production does. Like they, for better or worse, like they have phenomenal production quality on like the main channel events, and that costs money to do, and clearly they don't think that they can recoup that. I think they should do it anyway, and I think that they probably would, given if they did it right. But oh well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of maybe just want to add something on to just Wild tournament and like competitive support, but I would just love to see a couple of things. So first thing in GM, why I still don't understand why we don't have them do multiple types of formats. Right now they're doing different types in standard, where they have standard, last hero, standing, conquest, and now trio, right, as like their new formats. But maybe like once or twice in a season doing something like Wild, that's like their premier thing, right? The whole point of that is to promote Hearthstone essentially, and doing Wild would be, I know a lot of the GMs probably wouldn't like that, knowing that, but
yeah, that would be very unpopular within the group. But no, I think that like Grandmasters is inherently kind of like a show match type tournament, right? Like just based on the way the invitations are, the way it's pretty limited, it's like not an open. So if it's gonna be a show match, which like the old Hearthstone Invitationals were pretty cool with like the community run ones were pretty cool where they just invited big names and had them play games. Like that's fun. If that's what GM was going to be, because it's going to die now, like just embrace that and like do more fun things with the format. So I agree with you on that. Like just nobody really cared about GM anyway, so like try it out with or giving them some curveballs.
I mean, GM has changed a lot currently, so this is kind of a little bit going to the past because GM right now is being stripped to the bone. Like it's only going to be a few weeks kind of thing, and it's a very, very tight schedule. So
right,
yeah.
In the past, I don't understand why they didn't do that, but yeah. And then the last thing, I guess I kind of want to pose this: do you think that more people would play this format? And I think this has been brought up to Ixar in his Q&As. Just some sort of subscription model, making it easier for people to gain cards to play the WoW format, where it's like you can rent all the WoW specific cards for a set amount of money per month. So that this also might address some of the questions that we had last week, where we're saying, how do we get people to play stuff that's not just the best of the best, not just Pirate Warrior and stuff like that. And by giving people more cards and giving them the cards to play the WoW format, I know that's might take away a little bit from their bottom line and people purchasing packs, but subscription models have been beneficial in the past. So what do you guys think about that?
No, I think that depending on how they price it, a subscription model would likely end up being less consumer friendly. Like it would actively be very bad for me personally at the rate that I play, and the amount of so for someone like me that's highly engaged, it's going to be a bad deal. For maybe somebody that's playing less frequently, it's going to be a good deal, but then they're playing less frequently, so they're not actually like getting their money's worth in some way. So I think it would heavily depend on the pricing, which to be honest, like not something Blizzard is best at. And so we said the same thing about Mercenaries early on. If they do the pricing right, it could be a fun game mode. They didn't do the pricing right. I wouldn't expect them to for a subscription model. And especially if they're going to like replace the traditional monetization path with that, because again, I think highly engaged players would end up with a net loss there in terms of how much they're spending.
Yeah, I assume Meowth is talking more as like an option that players can take rather than something that, like they have to do in the future. In terms of opt-in, like the subscription model, I don't know. I'm sure it's a very complicated question. Like I'm not really equipped to answer all the finances behind the scene and all that kind of thing. I can imagine if they botch the pricing on the first go, it becomes very, very awkward for them in either direction. Where like if they shoot it way too high the first time, then it's kind of a disaster. And if they go way too low and they need to bump the price up a lot, then that's also a bit of a disaster. So it kind of feels like it's a little bit of a tough situation, especially, given that their pricing issues that they've had. I don't really know. Like, I think a lot of time in Wild, if you want to try Wild, you could do so really cheaply. Like, I don't know. The whole, like, whale opt-in, buy every card, I don't think that's necessarily, like, the biggest thing that's holding a lot of people back, I would say.
A lot of companies in past years, including the company I worked at, which was a software company, moved towards a subscription model because it's better for the company and not it's not very consumer friendly in general. I think that like even if on an individual basis it works out better for you, like it's also kind of preying on people that forget to cancel their subscription, and that's how they end up making a lot of money without delivering a whole lot in return. So like I think that I'm just personally not a big fan of anything subscription based.
Yeah, I was just hypothetically, it was like in addition to being able to purchase cards, if you just say for like an X amount of money per month, you get access to these wild specific cards that you can use to play the format. I just think making that barrier of entry easier somehow, some way, whether that's...
I think cards should just cost less to craft when they rotate because they're like half as useful. So like that's what I've always kind of promoted as a way to make the format more accessible. Obviously that's very selfish for me as somebody that plays the wild format, so I would benefit from that immensely, but like you know, it makes sense in the context of like a rotating format like this.
Yeah. That goes
Where
against
there's-
everything in every other card game, right?
Well,
Where,
no, okay, but this is a digital card game. There
Yeah,
is no
yeah.
scarcity involved, so like
Exactly.
it doesn't like there is no need for cost to go up when cards become less playable.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Let's move on to our next question here. We have Tivolia asking, if you can modify up to 3 cards to improve the health of the game, let's assume the WoW format, what changes would you make and why? So I already know what one of Raffle's is going to be, but I'm interested in what his other 2 are.
I don't know. It's really hard to pick another 2 because a lot of the ones that I've really championed in the past have actually gotten removed. In the past, it was Sorcerer's Apprentice, sorry, Corb, and before that, it was Blood Bloom. So clearly, I am phenomenal at identifying broken cards in the format. That's why, as everyone knows, Void Caller was nerfed a long time ago when it definitely needed to be. So a 100% hit rate for me. Maybe Snowfall Guardian. I think that card is still a little bit irritating for me personally, just because I like interactive games sometimes.
We're not going here today. Nope.
I don't really know what else I would hit. Maybe something like the things that are coming to mind right now aren't even like in the broken things in the format. So I'm thinking like either Raised Dead Kobold Librarian in Warlock, or maybe something in Questline Hunter, but that kind of just got hit, and I don't know, like, we're not really seeing much counterplay to that right now. So I don't know. I would probably just focus on those 2. Those are the ones that bother me the most right now in Raid the Docks and Snowfall Guardian.
Yeah, this is a really tough question. It's something that I haven't really put enough thought into because, you know, it isn't just about like nerfing cards. When we talk about changes, there are probably a lot of really good candidates that could be buffed that could be kind of healthy. And, you know, there are a few that kind of come to mind that I can't figure out exactly how I buff them. But, you know, even cards like Zihi might be a little nicer if it was a little bit more playable, you know, kind of like to be able to be a little bit more interactive with the opponent and things like that is a more healthy form to me. I think Ruffle hit, you know, Snowfall. That's a card that I would like to see change. So he kind of stole that one there. But I think Vargoth going to 5 would be something that I would like. I don't like the Urkin high roll being the core part of Druid and games literally coming down to coin flipping every single game. Not just like whether you draw the minion, but the, you know, whether you pull the Vargoth or not. It just feels like a nightmare that I don't want that to be an eternal part of Druid. And it's so powerful that it will just be an eternal part of Druid forever. It just feels horrible. I probably also like delete patches as well. I know that like pirate decks aren't really the biggest thing apart from just Warrior right now. Like obviously Warrior, I'm thinking beyond that, but I think patches just makes for really crappy game experiences, you know? Let's just get rid of it. You can't be tilted by drawing patches if you never have patches, and if that makes pirate decks worse, so be it. Like, I just think it's healthier to lower the variance in games like that.
Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't mention Flurgle Talks of all these cards.
Oh, well, it's Shaman. Like, if we kill, you know, Guardian, then, you know, I've talked about Flurgle Talks on Twitter already.
Yeah. I mean, I think Flurgle Talks is way more of an issue than Snowfall, and honestly, Macaw is something I would probably touch before I touch Snowfall Guardian. Like, Macaw was sweet when it came out, but Macaw is also very, very gross of a card. But yeah, other than that, like, if I had to, like, nerf cards, because buffing is very speculative, and I don't know, there's like 7 million cards in Hearthstone to pick from to buff. God, if I had to pick, let's see. I think the interaction with Potion of Madness has always been something that's been a little frustrating play experience wise, where you get punished for playing your minions, similar to the frustrations you guys have with Snowfall Guardian, right? Where against stuff like Inner Fire Priest, going into like turn 4, turn 5, you kind of just can't play a minion because then they Wave of Apathy, Potion of Madness, and kill you with your own stuff, which can be a little bit frustrating. So like maybe I know that was printed before Rush came out, so I think like just adjusting it so it gave a minion Rush instead of Charge would be nice. And then as much as I love Warlock, I think Kobold Librarian has been absolutely busted and broken for way too long. And I know this is something we talked about a little bit when Cora made her initial tweets about classes they were keeping an eye on before the last set of balance changes. So like I wouldn't be surprised if sometime in the future Kobold Librarian got hit in some way or another, right? Whether it's stats or making it a death rattle or something, because Kobold Librarian, I don't know if you guys agree with this, probably the most busted one drop that's ever been printed. Well, okay, side tangent. What would you say was the most busted one drop? Like, there's 1/3 Mana Worm, I think.
I can think of many. There are a lot to come to mind. Mana Worm, Tunnel Drug, like OG Undertaker in its era. I mean,
Kobold Librarian has stayed relevant though through all of these eras where those have kind of fallen off. You know.
Well, Worm got nerfed and Trog.
Worm was the only one that got nerfed.
So.
Undertaker got nerfed, but it came back, and it's still irrelevant. So.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
If anything, I honestly, I'll go out and say, like, I don't think that anything needs to get nerfed, right? This was a purely hypothetical based on the question. I think Wild's in a pretty okay spot. I don't want to see any card balance changes right now. I don't know if you guys are on the same boat. I know we agree that the meta in general is Sam, and I know Raffle really wants Juggernaut deleted, but other than that, I don't really think we want any more. At least I don't want any more card changes.
No, I think that some of the changes have had some of the effect that I was hoping for. Like I'm not facing Pirate Warrior 40% of my matches anymore, even at the Diamond 5 rank band, because it is getting bullied out by their deck. So I think that I'm feeling better about the state of the metagame now than I have in quite a while, and at least like cursory glances kind of suggest that it is a little bit healthier and more like win rates are better distributed across the classes than they have been for quite a while. So yeah, I'm enjoying the game a lot more than I had been for a while.
Yeah, Warrior has dropped by like 5% at least in that upper diamond range. So it is down to like 20, whereas we were just talking, I think, last week or the week before that it was up still at 25 and stuff. So it is kind of declining, which we hoped for. As for nerfs, I mean, I always want nerfs, right? Like I don't think there are going to be nerfs, but if I could go do the Vargoth change right now, I would do it. Like, if I could go do Flurgle Toxfin right now, I would 100% do it. There are a lot of things that I would just tinker with if I had my way. But, you know, it's about aligning that with actual reality. So, you know, right now, I don't think there's anything that, you know, needs to be immediately adjusted based on precedent from Blizzard.
Yeah. All right. I mean, let's transition this into the next question here. So we have one from Bedrims. Been loving the pod. Thanks. Which card, nerf or rework, made you the most sad, upset, angry, and why? So, Corb, is it what everybody's thinking?
I don't think so. I'm going to go in the other direction. I think Necrum Apothecary was the one that pissed me off the most. As something that got buffed, you know? Like, that got buffed, and I was so mad because I hate turn for a mega high roll cards, and I hated the gameplay that card. I mean, it didn't end up causing any damage, really, yet. Like, it's still on the cards. One day there will be something ridiculous from that. But yeah, I was really annoyed when they ended up reverting that one and buffing it. In terms of nerf, nah. Like, I'm fine with Apprentice. Like, yeah, I had a good run. I kind of knew it was going to turn up at some point. I had a great time with it, but it deserved what it got. She deserved it. Like, you know, I can say that. So yeah, nerfs in Wild never make me upset because I always want more.
I think for me it was similar to Corb. It was a buff, and it was Call to Arms because I hated that card when it was first introduced, and I hated it initially when it returned. But things have sped up so much that it's like it's not as strong as as it originally was, or even after they first reverted it. It's still an incredibly broken card at 4 mana, but like other classes, other decks are doing equally / more broken things. So I think it's like it's probably okay in the current landscape, but man, I was surprised that they made that change, and I really hated the Call to Arms metagame when it was first released, and I still think it's a dumb card. Like I think it's dumb, very much like Oaken Summons, which is a good call out from Corb earlier on the Fargoth. I wouldn't mind him going to 5 either, just because like games shouldn't be predicated on whether you do the thing on turn 4, and then also how well that thing goes. It's just a dumb way to play Hearthstone.
Ooh. All right, I think I'm probably gonna go with Molten Giant. From when I think it originally got nerfed for 20 to 25. Just because I started playing the game playing Handlock for such a long time. It wasn't like I didn't think it needed to be nerfed. I didn't think it wasn't as strong as people were making it out to be. At that time, it probably was a well-deserved candidate for a nerf. It was just very sad seeing such an iconic card go from 20 to 25, and I'm very glad that it's back to 20. But yeah, other than that, like I think I will hop onto the Necrim Apothecary train, where I remember last year, and I was just like, why? I do not understand why they brought this back. So you just triggered so many bad memories with that call out, because I remember being pretty pissed off about that.
Yeah, we came out, we were mad, we were pissed, we were like ranting about it. I mean, it kind of turned out okay though, right? Like
for now, like you said, for now.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. One day they'll print something. Like I just think in general, cards that say like turn 4 win the game are pretty obnoxious, right? Like even Call to Arms to a much lesser extent. Like it's like a turn 4 power spike that like wins if you play it on curve, your win rate's going up by a crap ton. Same with like Okins and Vargoth and cards like that. So I don't like cards like that. I like some back and forth and not playing with stuff like Keliseth on curve or Barnes on curve. But yeah, other than that, like most of the cards that have gotten nerfed in Wild's history have kind of deserved it, very much so. And so like there's nothing that I was like sad to see get nerfed. Maybe there were some things that I was like, maybe this should have gotten nerfed more, like Celestial Alignment. Like Celestial Alignment's making a comeback right now in the WoW metagame, and every time I see it, my blood boils a little bit because that card is so unfun and obnoxious to play against. So like that one, I kind of wish they had like nuked to 10 mana, but everything else, like everything that's gotten nerfed in Wild has absolutely deserved it. So it hasn't really made me kind of angry or sad. So let's move on to our next question here from Copa. So what is your opinion on Battlegrounds? And maybe I'll extend this to kind of just some of the other Hearthstone modes in general. So like Battlegrounds, Duels, Mercenaries, and Arena. Almost forgot about that format, just like everybody else. So do you like the formats? Which ones do you play? And if you do play these other formats, are you casual or do you try hard a bit? And do you watch streamers? And if so, which ones?
Yeah, I'll go first. In terms of play, I've been playing a lot of Duels lately, off stream. Actually, just stomping some people at low MMR because I've never played Duels before. So I'm at like I started at like at basically 0, and I just have I think I have like an 8.5 run average right now. Without even unlocking most of the treasures. Like I'll go to build a deck and I'll be like, wait, I can't do what I want to do here because I don't have the Clash treasure with that. So I haven't really gone through the work of unlocking those. But it has given me something to do with my Arena tickets because I no longer play Arena. I used to actually main Arena, and that's where I got most of my baseline collection. And I used to play a little bit of Battlegrounds. Now I do still occasionally watch Battlegrounds. I find it more fun to watch than actually play. Like if I want to play an auto battler, I tend towards TFT just because I don't know. I like the like seeing my little guys and moving them around, you know, and seeing them shoot at each other. Like that's it's a little more engaging and fun, visually appealing than Hearthstone, which is one of the things that Hearthstone typically does very well, and Battlegrounds is very good at that. But I don't know, it feels like it's lacking. In terms of watching it, I used to watch a lot of Dog. Like I'd catch his streams, his videos pretty much daily. Still watch every once in a while. But aside from that, I watch Odd Dragon streams from time to time because he's very good at Battlegrounds now. He used to be a phenomenal wild gamer, consistent top one finisher. I used to watch Sun Glitters quite a bit when I was editing in the morning, but I had to stop because she made me laugh too much and I couldn't focus on getting my work done. And then I'll occasionally, they stream at similar times to me, but when I'm not live, occasionally I'll throw on Nicolina or Slissa with Battlegrounds. But honestly, I think I watch more Battlegrounds content than I do wild content, just because it's like I get a fair amount of wild content just playing it myself, you know, and editing it every morning.
Ouch, he doesn't watch us, Corb. Feels bad.
That's not true.
Feels bad, man.
I watch you guys just so that I can pester you in chat.
For me, the game I mean, I only just play standard and wild and a little bit of BGs. I haven't really touched anything other than that. Like, I kind of want to get into duels at some point. It does seem fun. Like, I just don't know where to start, really. Like, how do you even begin on duels when you have no real concept of what's going on? I don't know.
You click the modes button, and then you click duels, and then you click play.
You see,
okay, that would work.
In my experience, what you do is you go to hearthstone-decks.net and you look at somebody who's gotten a good result. You say, I'm going to play that. You click copy the deck code. You realize that you don't have the treasure available to you, so you go and you find another one and repeat the process until you find a playable deck, and then you just stomp some people. I don't know. Like, it's the
Perfect.
most... You just... If you like doing broken things, duels is your mode.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I play wild, so I mean, maybe it's right there. So yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember when I did actually click on the duels button and I found I had like 40 tickets or something, and I was just like, yeah, these aren't getting used anytime soon. But yeah, I really like BGs. Like, I do want to get into BGs a lot more. I think the game is really, really fun. I kind of don't love watching it that much. Like, when I watch BG streamers, it's mostly that I'm there for the streamer and a little bit less for the mode, if that makes sense, where I'm not super invested in actually watching and learning the game mode. It's fun to play, but I don't know, for some reason it just doesn't click for me as a viewer type thing. If I am watching BG streams, it's like, you know, mostly Sun Glitters, sometimes like Lee, Harper, Slissa, some of those people. But yeah, I usually pretty much stay in my own lane. Don't tend to dabble too much in, you know, everything that Hearthstone does have to offer. And, you know, hopefully at some point I'll get around to BGs a little bit more seriously.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I really only play wild. I haven't touched any of the other formats in ages. Like, every once in a while when I'm on like a break at work, or like I have 20 minutes to kill while something's going, I'll try to play a quick game of BGs, and then I'll get a quick eighth because I have no idea what I'm doing, and then that's like perfect. So yeah, I'm like you guys were. Like, I watch a lot more than I play. Like, I watch a lot of Dog while I'm at work, so watch a lot of BGs. I get the impression that I'm learning things, and then I'll play a game and realize that I don't know anything, which is nice always. And then I watch a lot of Dreads for Arena. I used to play a lot of Arena, and I just like don't anymore, but still love hanging out in his chat. But yeah, like whenever I get tired of Wild, I would rather play other games than I do just like other modes in Hearthstone. So like my TFT is my auto battler fix. If I want to play a different card game, I play Magic, or I'll just like play some other stuff. So for me, like you guys said, I'm just primarily a wild guy. Don't really. I should dabble with everything else. That's part of the joy and beauty of Hearthstone, where you like have all these different ways to play it. I just don't though. All right, let's move on to our next question here though, from Officer Yogurt. Curious what your guys' favorite deck ever are. That's a very, very difficult question here. So I don't know who wants to go first.
I have played a different deck to essentially to upload a unique video every day for the past 3 years. So that's a lot of, like, if you can do the math, that's a lot of decks. I can't really get attached to anyone in particular. And there are some repeats and there are things that I'll revisit every expansion or so, but like, I don't know, what I like is just variety. Like, I don't want to play the same deck over and over again. So I don't really get too attached. If I had to pick one, maybe something like Weasel Priest or I don't know, something involving Yogg shenanigans, but like, I don't know. I still wouldn't be satisfied playing that deck over and over again. I want to play new things. That's what I enjoy. I don't know.
Damn. God, it's so hard to pick. I guess I'll go with, like, the non-obvious 8 PM answer. I will go with Darklair Warlock. I think that was probably the deck that I enjoyed the most for a while. I think the old me probably enjoyed Tempo Rogue, like Kaliseth Rogue, a lot, but I don't know if the current version would enjoy it as much, because taste changes. You know, it's been playing this game for a long time, and it's kind of this normal that how you actually enjoy the game kind of changes a lot. So yeah, I think Dark Lore or Kaliseth would be the two picks.
Yeah, old me would have said Demon Handlock, hands down. Playing some Void Caller into Doomguard and Mal'Ganis alongside all of your giants with Sun Furies was some high quality Hearthstone. This was like during Patron era as well, so you'd run Hellfires and everything like that. Super sweet deck. It was like my first competitive deck as well, and I played the crap out of it. And then modern me probably would still say LPG Mage, right? With even at 7-mana LPG. When it was kind of at its peak, like, what was it, 2 years ago? Descent of Dragons, like when Dragon Queen Alexstrasza came out.
Ashes, it's pretty good in Ashes, I think. Yeah.
So, like, LPG is just kind of the deck that I, in every card game that I play, I like playing like the proactive control decks, right, with ways to like actually win games, but you're still a control deck. So, LPG Mage, Handlock, stuff like that were right up my alley. That's just always been the player that I am, and man, I'll miss LPG Mage with Potion of Illusion shenanigans. Oh, how I wish that could come back. All right, let's move on to our next question here, though, from Wander, and this one's a little bit more serious. We're gonna have to put our thinking caps on. So, we all know that Demon Hunter is pretty much dead right now in Wild. So, what do we think that the class needs to come back into existence in the WoW format? And we're not allowed to just say Skull to 5 because you want something more elaborate, okay? Do you think it needs stronger cards in general, something that pushes a new archetype? Do you think there's already a Demon Hunter archetype that's close to being relevant? If so, what's missing? And if not, what Demon Hunter archetype would you like to see become meta in the near future? Hashtag intact Demon Hunter, we believe. So a little bit of a complicated question here. So we can start easy. What do we think the class needs?
I think we should start with the premise, because I think that it's a false premise. Like, we all know the Demon Hunter is pretty much dead right now. People aren't playing it, but I think it's got at least one, maybe 1.5 good decks. I played Odd Hunter for my day one climb and had one of the easiest runs I've had in a while, at about above 70%, all the way up to Diamond 5, where my win streak ran out. Like, deck seemed really good, and I think that, like, I think people aren't playing it because it was bad, but now there are fewer Pirate Warriors, so it can get a hold on board against something like Questline Hunter. It doesn't get a hold on board, but it has so much damage to face that it just, like, it turns into a burn deck and can win that way. I think maybe people were just, I don't know, it was the Odd Paladin thing again, all over again, where, like, or the Odd Rogue thing, where, like, good deck is good, but people are tired of playing it. Honestly, I don't know how much Skull to 5 would do for the class if we're going down the line here. So, like, I would like to see Skull reverted. I don't think that would change things. I don't think it would make the cut in that Odd Demon Hunter that I was playing. I was playing like 24 1-drops and just shoving things upstairs, hero powering every turn. So In addition to that, I think that there are a lot of archetypes that are already close. I think that like just a hard aggro Demon Hunter is pretty close. It's maybe a few cards short right now, as are things that you're seeing played in standard, like Fell Demon Hunter, and if they do some reversions on the lifesteal OTK, I think that could be a legitimate deck if it got a little bit more support. I don't think that like just a I don't even think that like a broad unnerfing of all of the cards that got nerfed in that deck would make it a wild relevant deck, because it wasn't ever wild relevant, and things have only gotten faster. But I think that if it gains some more support pieces in the future, it very well could be. So I think Demon Hunters, it's not in the best place. Just because there aren't a lot of options available to you with the class. Going back to my previous statement, like I like options. The problem with that is that like it doesn't have a deep card pool like the other classes, so you don't have a lot of options. You basically just need to look at the cost of the card. If it's 1 mana, you play it, and it's of good quality, you play it in Odd Demon Hunter. If not, you move on. So I think that what the class needs is a deeper card pool, because if you look at there aren't that many cards, even in Wild, that are just like being carried or that are put into decks simply because of their raw power level. There, you can name a few, but even a card like Oaken Summons, it's not inherently powerful on its own. Like, it was never played in Standard. It's the synergy it has with other cards. And again, when a class has such a narrow card pool, because it only has existed for a couple of years, it doesn't have the breadth of cards to choose from that that a class that's been there for nearly a decade now has. So like it doesn't have the broken synergistic mechanics that something like a Secret Mage relied on for so long, because of the constant iteration over the secret synergy mechanic that eventually hit a tipping point to where, wow, this deck's incredibly broken. So like I think it just needs time, and more cards released is really all there is to it.
Yeah, my line was going to be, we can take this in a very reductive way and just say it needs good cards and time. That was going to be it, and then you hit the nail on the head right there at the end. I think something that I'll just add, like, I think Raffle gave a beautiful answer there that covered pretty much everything, is that there are a lot of ways to, like, skin a cat. I think sometimes people kind of get a little bit too focused on what does this specific archetype need, what does this deck need, what does this class need. There's a lot of ways that you can make a deck and an archetype good. It doesn't have to be the same thing. It can be broken 1-drops in an aggro deck, or it can be some mana cheating mechanic. It can be outstanding card draw, it can be secret passage, it can be a great finisher. It doesn't have to be any specific thing. You just need powerful cards and synergies. And that just comes, with, in Wild, that mostly comes from unintended interactions, like interactions that wouldn't exist in Standard, and that mostly just comes from a deeper card pool, which takes a lot of time to develop. So that's pretty much what Demon Hunter needs. And I would also agree with you about Odd Demon Hunter actually being a pretty okay deck right now. I kind of looked at some stuff when doing a tier list, and I kind of flagged as something that people might be underplaying a little bit, because it has gotten a little bit better, I think, than where it was before the bounce patch in January.
Yeah, speaking of unintended synergies, right? Baku and Demon Hunter hero power right there. Easy. Yeah, I don't think I need to elaborate on this anymore, because you guys have kind of hit the nail on the head. So I kind of want to lead you guys onto this last little part here, though, where is there a Demon Hunter archetype that you would like to see become meta dependent, right? Outside of aggro odd Demon Hunter, like, is there something like lifesteal Demon Hunters maybe on the cusp? We might have just like that pure aggro. Is there something else that's maybe on the cusp that you would like to see get more support, that you think is almost there? I know you guys have sort of touched on this, but I want to revisit that.
I mean, this is like dangerous territory to answer this question, because first of all, a lot of people, there's an overlap between our viewership with the lifesteal Demon Hunter, or with Standard players and Wild players. So if I say lifesteal Demon Hunter, which I do think is a cool deck, and I would like to see it be Wild relevant at some point, people are going to lose their minds. But like, it's never been good in Wild. I don't think it's even remotely close. And people really don't like dying from hand, and especially when it's big numbers. Like 128 is a big number that doesn't matter, but because it's a big number, it's somehow more visceral and like the reaction is like proportional to the numbers that are being done at times. So I would say Lifesteal Demon Hunter, but at the same time, I don't know. Like, I just want to see something. The reason I like the idea of that it's a new and different archetype. You're using healing to kill the opponent. That's cool. Like, I just want to do new things. I like the play style of Fell Demon Hunter, but at the same time, that's like, I don't know, a little bit less engaging to me because it's more linear. It's just like, it's basically like Shutterwalk. You just play cards when you get them and power up your late game win condition. And I think that we've seen that before. So while I like it, because it's, you know, it's fun to do sometimes, I would like to see something a little bit more interesting and unique. And, you know, maybe we'll get that. I'm not a card designer. I would just like to see something new and different, and I feel like Lifesteal OTK can fit the bill.
Root me, dude.
We've lived through that. That was Dark Glare already. We don't need that again.
Yeah, it's Dark Glare, Raffle.
No. I think if Brute ever gets reverted, there may be some trouble.
Oh goodness! On the podcast, is that what you're saying?
No, in the format. We talked about this in the past, that like it was very close to being there. And I think with that's one place where there is an opening for some synergy. We talked about this a little bit with the new 4-mana Luna type card, right? Where one of the things that's holding that back is the lack of low-cost cards. You had some more low-cost cards in Demon Hunter, and you know, you've already got the Lions Friendly and the Brutes. Like, you've got your source of damage. Like, you can start spending cards and doing boatloads of damage if that changes. So, you know, there are some things that are almost there.
Yeah, the Brute was where I was gonna go with that, so I'm glad you brought it up, so I didn't have to. But yeah, honestly, like you guys have all just been saying, more Demon Hunter decks, the better. So I'm really, really excited for rotation. All right, so let's shift gears a little bit. Let's hop into some more, some questions oriented to the content creation, personal sides of things. And Martian offers the best question here that I have no idea how to answer. So I'm going to let you guys answer for each other, okay? If Corb and Roffle were Pokemon, which one would they be? Obviously riffing off of the fact that I am Meowth.
I don't
Raffle, you can't
I don't want to put
yourself.
that pressure on him either.
You would decide what Corbett
You
is.
decided. Hold on. You decided for yourself. I get to decide for myself too. That's how this is working, right, Corb?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a 2-to-1 vote, Meowth.
Yeah, I don't want that. I don't want that kind of pressure, and I don't want to put that kind of pressure on my co-host either. I'm not.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, is this the one that I would most like to be, or the one that like is most similar to me? Because either way, the answer is Psyduck, because that is objectively the best Pokemon of all Pokemon, and I will hear nothing else.
Oh, speaking of, Raffle, go to a Twitch chat right now. Type "Get Me Mad." This is not even me trying to sell out, but new emote that I think you would be very happy with. Anyways, Psyduck, quality option actually. Love me a Psyduck.
Oh my god. Well, you've just earned a lifetime sub.
Let's go. Anyways,
Damn, no, I gotta
do
check
love
this
this
out. Hang on. Yeah.
Derailed the podcast.
Right.
Don't know. Anybody out there that's a sub, or you guys sellouts? Yeah. Give me mad quality emote.
My Pokemon. What's the question? The one that I would be? What is my Pokemon spirit animal?
Yeah. Like if you know.
Yeah,
because I don't think I'm a
spirit
Meowth.
animal.
I don't think
Right.
I'm a Meowth, but I am called Meowth. So
I'm gonna go with Umbreon. I feel like I like Umbreon. I don't know. That's just the one that came to mind. There's no logical reason for it. It's just my Pokemon spirit animal. It is what it is. Plus, I couldn't think of a way to make Corbett into a Pokemon pun, so unlucky.
unlucky indeed. All right, Martian, I hope you're happy with these answers. If not, you can come at these guys, because honestly, I have no better answers. So I'm not clever enough. All right. let's move into a question here from Ender Plays. So, what is your favorite part about Hearthstone as both a player playing a video game and a content creator? And I think we've touched on this maybe a little bit already. But specifically, like, what is the part of Hearthstone that appeals to you as both a player and then as a content creator?
So as a player, honestly, the simplicity. Like, I don't know, like a lot of people see that as a downside to the game, but I feel like that offers a lot of flexibility in terms of what you can do. You can create all these different unique game modes with essentially the same core concept in mind. There are really clear and apparent levers that you can pull to change cards, but like, I don't know, the simplicity makes it accessible, which makes it enjoyable, and it has great visuals to go alongside that. In terms of content creation, I feel like, I don't know, what I appreciate the most about it is how it's fairly easy to like craft a narrative around a piece of content, because you can just like spend a few hours playing a deck and showcase some of those games. Whereas like if you think about something like I don't know, a lot of other games, it would be really hard to. Well, I'm playing Elden Ring right now. I've been playing for hours upon hours upon hours. How would I make a video about about that? So like I wouldn't even know how to create content for those types of games, whereas it's just kind of a natural thing, and even the content creation becomes accessible at a certain point because of the simplicity of Hearthstone. And like, I don't know, I'm using simplicity as a compliment here, because I think it really is one. Like it is the original tagline was what was it, like?
Deceptively simple, insanely fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly what it is. Like there is a lot of depth when you actually start to look and analyze it, but like superficially it's very simple, and that makes it easy to pick up. You can jam a few games like Meowth on your lunch break and get back to work. It's great.
Yeah, I didn't actually know that from the top of my head. It's funny because I just Googled it, because Meowth was asking like what you liked about it, and that you were talking about the simplicity, and that is really it. But it is a game that is really fun, and I don't have to do a whole bunch of reading of multiple paragraphs like I would in some other games. The gameplay is pretty clear, but at the same time it's got some like deep complexity to it. Like I like that Hearthstone is it's not rocket science, but it is it is like an engaging game. You do have to think, you do have to constantly problem solve, and every game is in some way different. That's the part of a card game that's really cool. I enjoy coming back to this thing and just having a lot of ways to engage with it, with different decks and things like that, a whole bunch of different strategies. And as a content creator, as a streamer primarily, the thing that I like is that Hearthstone is obviously the card game that kind of best and continues to take the best advantage of being on the digital, platform, where Hearthstone is very much designed in mind of not being a physical card game. And so I get to take off my entire opponent's turn. I don't have to watch anything, and I get to go interact with chat and hang out with those, and I can come back, and then I can go interact with chat again. And, a lot of other card games aren't quite like that, because you have to be kind of a little bit more hyper-focused the entire time. And it just makes it for a very chill, great way to stream. It's a big part of why Hearthstone was so successful, particularly in its early years as a great game on Twitch.
Yeah. I have a little bit of a different answer here. So as somebody who plays other card games pretty regularly, I think the part of Hearthstone that's the most appealing to me as both a player and a content creator. Just I'm gonna get maybe flamed for this, but like the RNG aspect of Hearthstone is a huge reason why I enjoy the game, because simplicity aside, the RNG makes every game different, right? Whereas something in Pokemon or in Magic, that's not always the case, right? Like, the reason that I enjoy it is that RNG makes for these super exciting moments that are memorable, that, it's exciting and it's enjoyable to play the game for hours and hours and hours as both a player and a content creator. And without those super highlight moments, or like losing the 1 out of 15 and somehow losing the game, or having your Shutterwalk devolved, or Megathune devolved into a Major Domo and then still killing your opponent with a Major Domo hero power. Like, that's stuff that you don't get when you play other card games, or you don't get playing stuff like chess, right, where there is no RNG. So it's part of the game that most appeals to me. It's a very frustrating part at times, but it's also a very exciting part of the game, and so that's probably the part that appeals to me the most as both a player and a content creator, because chat loves making fun of you when you lose some RNG flips, and they're like really excited when you do win, and they make some great highlight reels when you win the RNG flips. So yeah, just a little bit of
Hearthstone's pretty as well. Games is pretty. So. It looks nice.
Yeah. I will say a lot of card games have kind of upped their quality in recent months, or not recent months, recent years, and maybe that's very much due to Hearthstone. Like, Hearthstone art's always been beautiful, but I will say other card games have recognized that. They've upped their game. They've got some good art as well. But I think the animations in the golden cards is one of my favorite things as well. Just like Snow Flipper Penguin animation when it inches the board is never not going to be some of the sweetest. Let's move on to our next question here by Intayaz. I am sure that I'm butchering this name. I apologize. So who is y'all's most wanted guest for the podcast, either from the past or current line of Hearthstone streamers, personalities, things like that? So who's your most the person that we've had on that you've been the most hyped for, or maybe one that you're hoping that we can get on in the future?
I mean, honestly, like I don't know. Easy answer. It was Ixar. I'm still shocked that like he joined us. No, just because he's busy, right? Like we're a relatively small podcast for a small format in a very big game. Like, it was kind of surreal to be like on a call with somebody who like has been, a prominent member of the Hearthstone design team for as long as I can remember. Like, he has been pretty vocal within the community, and yeah, but I don't know. That was a good get. So great job to Meowth, who coordinated that whole thing and made it possible.
Yeah, that was our white whale, and kind of got it a little early.
We've peaked.
I guess exactly. Like I've loved every time I've had guests on. It's been great. But Ixar is Ixar, and he is ultimately the lead on this thing that we all love so much, and this thing that we all spent so much time invested in and enjoying. And so the fact that we got him on the show was fantastic. In terms of future guests, like I would love to just have someone back from Blizzard, have another conversation with someone either on the design team or someone else in some other role. That would be fantastic. And I'm sure we had a fantastic time last time, and that would be just really cool to be able to do something like that again.
Yeah, easy answer, definitely Ixar. But like you mentioned, everybody that's been on the show, like as a guest or a emergency co-host, has been absolutely amazing. If I had to choose a non-Ixar answer, though, I think I would have to go with the episode that we had with Hat. Just because, first of all, Hat's an awesome person. If you guys don't listen to any Hat podcast, you guys are seriously missing out on some quality content. But that was the week that Wild was a shit show in the community, on Twitter and Reddit. It was an absolutely insane week, and that episode was probably one of the best conversations about the game and the WoW format that we've had on this episode. So that was probably my favorite guest episode outside of Ixar, obviously. But yeah, hopefully moving forward, I know we haven't had guests on for a while, just because three people on a podcast is already a lot, and so sometimes going to 4 is a little bit overwhelming. But just trust me on this. We're working on some guests for future episodes. So just a little bit of a spoiler there to maybe keep you guys excited. But yeah, obviously, God, I still don't know how I managed to do that. I'm not gonna lie to you, to get Ixar on the show. I just slid in those Twitter DMs, and then he insta responded, and I was just oh, this is happening. Oh, okay.
Shoot.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, super excited, and thank you again, Nixar, if you are listening to this. Thank you very much for coming on. All right, a couple questions left here. This was actually a really cool question. I'm excited to see what the answers are here. So, what is the hottest take that you guys have made in your Hearthstone career, and were you right about it? Speaking of shooting your shots, right? Did you call your shot on a card? Did you make a controversial claim about interactivity that you were proud of at the time and got a little flack about? What has it been? I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that. I can go, I guess, while you guys are thinking. I know when Skullman's Academy came out, Darkglare Warlock got discovered very, very quickly, right? So it was like a week and a half after Skullman's released. And there was a little bit of a community outcry about like Darkglare's power level. And I remember, so this is I think before Raffle had joined the show, but Corb and I had this little segment where we were just like, guys, Darkglare's been out for like a week. Can we relax on calling for nerfs and bans on a brand new deck? And that was a pretty hot take because Darkglare was kind of gross, and it did turn out to be pretty gross, and it needed to be nerfed. But I think that's one that I don't know if I'm proud of that one, but I do kind of stand by the take of wanting decks nerfed after a week is a little blasphemous, and I'm still glad that we kind of came out and did that, even if we were wrong, and Darkglare ended up being kind of busted.
Maybe that is I'm gonna steal your answer, but that's one that I generally default to, and it seems to be a hot take within the community. But like, people are ready to call for nerfs before cards are even released sometimes. Like, and so I think just taking a wait and see approach tends to be best. Like, I still remember a good example of this was everybody losing their minds when Shudderwalk was initially released, and it's like, this is the most broken card in the history of Hearthstone. Like, it was because of like the animation time, and it like literally broke games, but like it was not a good deck really when things actually finally settled, and people were again immediately calling for nerfs to Shudderwalk because like it felt bad to lose to, but it wasn't like the tier 0 deck that everybody pretended it was on day 0. And I feel like every single time we have an expansion that happens, where there's like a single, usually combo deck. This time it was Owl Warlock that does well at the beginning because people are playing a lot of jank early on, trying to test out new cards. And then when things finally settle, it's like, well, this deck is just kind of okay. Maybe things were a little bit different for Owl Warlock because it is pretty good. Less so in standard, where most of the complaints were happening though.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about things that weren't just like the most wrong. So like me thinking that Demon Seed wouldn't get played in Glare, like very, very wrong. But I don't think it was a hot take, right? Like a lot of people just came to that kind of opinion, so it wasn't really a scorching one.
What about your watch post prediction?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, in terms of like card prediction, something I actually got right was maybe like feeling that watch post. I felt like I think I commented on Discord. I thought it was gonna get nerfed like within the first month, and I thought it was gonna be like one of the best cards in the set, and that was one of the ones I got right. There have been a lot that I've gotten very, very wrong though. Beyond just like card stuff, my hottest takes might be. I remember having to talk people down off the ledge about Quest Mage a lot when that got nerfed from 6 to 8, and the opinion was that the nerf did nothing, and I kind of pushed back heavily on that for multiple weeks and kind of caught a lot of flack from many other people in the community about that, but I think ultimately I probably came out looking correct a little bit. I don't know. It's kind of hard to convince people because how do you prove something like that? If you don't believe in like the stats of it, then there's never any real evidence to quote unquote prove who's right. But still, I think the Quest Mage stuff was probably the hottest. Maybe the Stealer as well, kind of talking down Stealer Warlock and saying, much like you guys were talking about, just give it some time. And the ultimate thing is that Stealer Warlock had so many problems. Like, it was a disgusting play pattern that had actual game mechanic problems where it would actually like cause games to crash. People would have to like exit and come back, and it was just horrible. But it's not really that bad if it's only like 0.2% of the meta. And you know, I kind of just wanted to see where it would land. Ultimately, ended up being a lot better than I thought. It never really got over 50% win rate, so you know, it wasn't that great, but it was good enough where it wasn't going away. And it absolutely deserved to be hit very, very quickly. But, you know, maybe not on day one, which is where everyone kind of lost their minds a little bit.
Yeah. I'll still stand by my hot take about Shudderwalk Shaman being interactive, but that's not something that we can revisit in the little time that we have left. And I still stand by that comment, and I know I'm getting the look, I know. It's still something that I stand by, because having played a lot of stuff like Magic, I think that when we are in the limits of what Hearthstone has as a fundamental game design, I still stand by it. And I know that is a hot take, and I know a lot of people disagreed with me about that, including the two of you guys. But I don't know, maybe we'll get Ixar again on the show in the future, and we can ask him about his opinion on this and get a definitive answer about who's correct on this. But I think that is still my hottest take to date that I've said publicly on the podcast, and I got a lot of flack about it, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of you guys think that I'm wrong. But I think I'm right, so that's all that matters.
Again, like Corb said, how are you going to change someone's mind when the data's in front of them and they still can't see it? So
what data, please? All right, last two questions here. The last one related to Hearthstone. So after having played Hearthstone for so long, I'm sure that each of us have experienced burnout at some point in time. So how do each of you deal with that? Maybe both in Hearthstone or other hobbies in general. So this question's from T-Rexon. I mean, I know all three of us have experienced a little bit of burnout. So I guess the question really is, how do you deal with it? What's the best way of dealing with it? And I think each of us are going to deal with it in like an individual way. But like Raffle, as somebody who does this for like your job, I think the way that you deal with it's going to be a lot different than Corbs and I's.
Yeah, to be honest, like when it wasn't my job, the way that I dealt with burnout is I stopped playing the game. Like it was pretty simple. If I didn't feel like playing the game, I didn't play it. I don't really have that luxury anymore, and just like to a certain extent, maybe not to the same extent, but you guys don't either, right? Like, part of content creation is number goes up, you're happy, number goes down, you're sad. And like if you take extended periods of time off, number goes down, and then you're sad, and then number goes down further, and then you're more sad. So like so I don't know, for me, I just generally kind of push through it. One thing that has allowed me to push through it is I do have an extended streak of not failing to upload a YouTube video for quite a long time. So like just, I don't know, inertia is keeping me going a lot of times and keeping that that streak going. And also the fact that my livelihood is tied to it. Like if I don't make a video, if I don't go live, that means I don't get money. So like, I don't really have a choice but to push through it. Things that I've done to limit the effect of burnout, though, is just honestly stream less often, become more efficient with the time that I am streaming, so that, I'm not playing the game for hours upon hours to hit that point of burnout as quickly. But there are times where it's inevitable. Like, again, if I'm facing 30 to 40% Pirate Warriors, I'm not going to enjoy the game. But like at the same time, I still have to keep playing the game if I want to get paid and want to have money to eat and pay my mortgage and that kind of thing. But realistically, when I'm at that point, I kind of remind myself that like I play a children's card game and make my living off of that, right? Like the worst days of streaming and content creation in general pale in comparison to the worst days working an office job, which is what I was doing before this, and made me far, far, far more miserable than the countless Pirate Warriors that I queue into in a row from time to time. Like that's like I play a game and make silly videos, and that's how I make my living. It like realistically it could be a lot worse. It is still a job, and like not every moment of it is going to be great because like, you know, there are times where I don't necessarily want to play Hearthstone or don't necessarily want to be on camera talking to people who can be kind of mean to me from time to time. So, but like I do it anyway, and but like again, it's still much better than what I was doing. So like that's kind of my, I guess where I fall back when I am in that place of burnout, and that allows me to kind of, I don't know, recenter myself and realize like how lucky I am to be able to do that, and it makes it a lot easier to kind of get past it.
The things that I have tended to do, they can be different in terms of like a player versus a content creator. Like it's two different kinds of burnout, I'll say. I think something that, you know, I've gotten a lot better at, because I burn out on the game much less than I used to. Like much less than from when I started streaming. There were often times where I would take like a month and a half off, like just not stream. I just go full, you know, just full dark mode. And that's not really something I do very much anymore. And the biggest things have been, one, try not to stream super long hours. Like, it's kind of tempting to just go stream as long as you want, as long as you think that you want to, and just not ever hit that stop streaming button. But it kind of catches up to you. Like, if you just do just doing hours, for me at least, if I stream more than 3 hours, I start to, you know, really lose it, and it's an exhausting thing because, you know, being a streamer is, in a lot of ways, it's like a performance, right? Like it's a it can be an authentic performance, but it is trying to be a more hyped up, engaged version of yourself, sort of like yourself at a 9 or a 10 for me at least. And as someone who's, you know, very generally introverted and a lot more quiet in group settings and things like that, it's exhausting, and doing it for more hours than I really should makes it even more draining. So just cutting back on stream time is a big thing. I would say for me as well. Not tying my happiness to my rank, and that is a big thing that you can probably connect with if you're not a streamer. Trying to engage in the game, trying to engage with the game in a healthy way that isn't just like win game, happy, lose game, sad. There's a lot of ways you can have fun with the game that isn't just like whether your rank goes up, and sort of it took a little bit to get used to as a streamer as well. But I'm no longer paranoid and worried about misplaying and thinking whether people think I'm a good player or not. Like, I don't care about that nearly as much as I used to. And so that's been a big thing as well. But yeah, beyond Hearthstone, I, you know, if I'm into something, the question was about other hobbies as well. I usually go pretty obsessive and pretty, you know, dive right in. And then when I'm done, I'm done. And that's usually how it goes. Hearthstone has actually been one of the few things in my life, one of the few things along with things like basketball where, you know, I've gotten into it and I just haven't gotten out. It's been many, many years at this point, and it just kind of keeps going, and I keep having fun with it. And, you know, again, I think it ties back to the fact that Hearthstone's a great game. You know, we were talking about things we liked about it. Hearthstone is uniquely entertaining to me. So, yeah, bit of a long-winded answer, but there you go.
Wow, you guys are getting so deep here. Damn. Like, I don't know. I think I'm on the completely opposite end of the spectrum as Raffle, right? Where I think I've been very lucky where I have taken Hearthstone, which was a hobby of mine, and have made it into what it has been from streaming. And that's not by lack of hard work or anything like that, but it's, to me, it's still just my hobby. And so, especially since I am still in school and I'm about to get this degree and I'm about to go do something that I care about, it's always just been, to me, like Hearthstone streaming has always just been, it's still a hobby, right? And it's something that I'm always like super vocal about on my stream, where it's just like, if you're not enjoying the game and you're in the position where it's not your job, like Raffle, right? Like if it's just a game to you and you're not enjoying it, like stop. Like don't play it if you're not enjoying it, right? Because you have better things that you can and probably should be doing with your time if you're not enjoying something. And so that's just still always just been my philosophy about Hearthstone. Like, I have had times where I just like Corb, I don't go a month without streaming because I do genuinely enjoy playing Hearthstone, but I'll go like a week without streaming I did that a lot when Demon Seed was super popular and powerful. I just like took a couple weeks off because I was like, I'm not enjoying the game. When I'm not enjoying the game, I'm not playing it well, and I'm not a good streamer because like I'm not enjoying it. So I'm just not going to do it. I think I'm in a pretty fortunate position to be able to do that, right? Where I can just say, hey, I have other things that I enjoy that I can do. I'm going to go do those instead. And so I know not everybody else is in that same situation, but in the end, I think Raffle said it pretty well, where it's a children's card game, right? That we play and we enjoy. And if you're not enjoying it, I just take a break, do something else, come back to it. Like when I wasn't enjoying Hearthstone, when I feel burnt out, I'll go do something else, right? Like I will go hang out, play some board games with friends. I'll play all these other things. Come back in a couple days, rejuvenated, looking forward to playing Hearthstone again, and then go and I'm enjoying myself again. So yeah, I think we're all kind of touching on the same points here, though. But yeah, anything else you guys want to add to that? I know we got super dark here, not dark, but like super sad a little bit, talking about like.
I don't know if we got sad. I think we got
I don't know, burnout. Burnout feels like a little bit of a sad topic. We've got very very deep and serious
deep,
here.
Maybe. Yeah, serious. I don't think it's a sad thing though. I think it happens. It's just a natural part of playing a game. And like you said, breaks are good. Time off. Time only makes the heart grow fonder.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or it doesn't, and you find other things to enjoy. Like Corb, I kind of have varied interests that over time my intensity and like drive for that thing varies over time, and like I don't know, like it doesn't always have to be if you're not enjoying the thing, then stop doing it. Like at the end of the day, even I don't know, it feels like my worst days as a streamer are still better than a lot of my best days at my previous job. So like, yeah, I'm very lucky and I enjoy what I do. But that doesn't mean every moment or every day of that thing is going to be fantastic. Like I'm a person. I have varying moods. I have varying levels of motivation that like there are some times where again, I just don't want to press that start streaming button because like Corb, I tend towards introversion and like it's exhausting. There are times where like after a 4-hour stream I need a nap because like that was emotionally draining and like so but at the end of the day like I still love doing that, so I'm gonna keep doing it even and like again like my livelihood is relying on it, so I'm gonna keep doing it even on days that I don't want to, just like I would go into the office on days that I didn't want to, which was quite frankly most days. And so like it's still a very very good situation by comparison.
Yeah, I think it's all just about like your mindset, right? When you don't tie your happiness to, like Corbett said, to your rank, right? And are you enjoying the games that you're playing? Are you learning? Are you getting better? And tying it to that, I think will lead you to burn out a little bit less, and then also just like realizing that it is a game, and if it's something you're not enjoying at the moment, like you don't have to play it, right? Nobody is forcing you to do it, so feel free to take a break, go do something else, right? All right, a little bit of a less serious question here to end the mailbox episode on.
This is the most serious question.
This is the most serious, the most controversial of all of the ones that we have answered. Which one of us, this one comes from Ogre, because of course it did, right? This is of course the question that he's going to answer or ask. Which one of us has the cutest dog? Keep in mind, wars will be waged based on this answer. And I'm not even really sure why this question had to be asked, because we all know the answer is Nox, without a doubt.
No, don't do this.
Do what?
Can't.
Tell the truth?
I don't.
New is always better. I have the youngest puppy, therefore I have the cutest puppy.
That's just factually inaccurate. I have the eldest puppy, who has been on this planet for 8 or 9 years now. That has allowed him to accumulate the most experience, and he has fully statted it out into the cuteness attribute. And so like I don't know, like lovely doggo, fully invested in cuteness.
I just remembered Anchor woke me up at 3 a.m. Anchor is not the cutest. You guys can fight it out. You guys go for it.
Yeah. I don't even think it's close. Mine's sitting right over here. I can bring her out here to show you guys. She's the best. You don't have. I think you only have one emote, right? You don't even have emotes for both of your dogs, Raffle. Come on. You only have one for Teddy.
I know. That's who I'm championing here, so don't tell Juno. Juno is a beautiful, beautiful dog, but
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. If Roffle is willing to pick favorites, I mean that kind of says it all a little bit.
Okay, I'm not picking favorites necessarily. It's just the definition of the word cute. It doesn't apply to Juno in the same way that it does Teddy. And on top of that, I also had Teddy from when he was a puppy, so I'm gonna be more attached to him because I raised him. That's my boy.
This just in: Raffle has favorites amongst his children. Will drama ensue? How about this? We'll put up photos of all of our dogs. Right? You can do one for both, Raffle, if you would like, or you could just choose Teddy as your champion, and we'll just have YouTube polls.
The more puppy pictures, the better.
Fair enough. All right. Well, just know that you're going to be splitting the vote amongst your dogs. So that's maybe down to your own judgment.
This is the real wild people's or puppies choice awards, I suppose.
Exactly. We'll just have YouTube comments vote. We'll post a poll down in the pinned comments. I'll just have you guys decide who has the cutest dog between the three of us. All right. I think that's going to wrap it up, though, for our Mailbox episode. I will say, I came into this worried if we were going to have enough questions for an episode, and then I looked down, and this is the longest episode we've had in a month. So, yeah.
This is great.
This was a super sweet episode. So thank you, everybody, for submitting your questions, and Raffle and Corb, thanks for submitting yourselves to answering all of them. Appreciate you guys, as usual. And thank you again for joining me on yet another episode of The State of Wild. Appreciate you all. Let the people know where they can find you and your content.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitch and YouTube at Raffle, and Twitter and Instagram at RaffleHS.
And you can find me at Corbettgames on all those platforms. So thank you guys very much for watching or listening.
Yep. You guys can find me at GetMeOut on all those platforms as well. Appreciate all of you guys that listen all the way to the end. And don't forget to vote in the puppy poll down below. This is the most important takeaway of this hour-and-a-half long episode, okay? Vote in the puppy poll down below. I appreciate all of you guys listening, and we will see you guys again next time. Later.